Welcome back to Verticon in Dallas 2025. Delighted to be sitting there talking to Dave Sparks. We're going to talk a little bit about his passion. I think it's fair to say that your Blackhawk is your passion and helping people is another one of your passions. So tell us a little bit about the work you've been doing with your own aircraft.
So obviously we love helicopters, everything about helicopters, every make, model. My goal in life is to fly every helicopter that's ever been built. Trying to, not just fly, but actually own and experience.
Yeah.
And I kind of cheated. I went from a BL-105 to a Blackhawk, which was kind of a weird transition for most people, but Blackhawk has been something I've wanted my entire life. And it's because, A, it's one of the coolest pieces of equipment ever built, not just aircraft, but and it's extremely capable. And I love capable vehicles, capable equipment, anything that's mission, purpose, designed to do something very specific. Well, the Blackhawk does a lot of things really, really well. And, so the number one goal was to get in it, own it, fly it, experience it. Second goal was do some good with it.
Yeah.
Figure out how to help people,
And that's kind of Igor Sikorsky's dream for helicopters, was exactly what you're doing. You're almost manifesting his dream using one of his products to go and save lives, make people's lives better. It must give you a really good feeling of satisfaction doing that.
There's nothing better, literally not a better feeling in the world. I've experienced a lot of cool stuff. When you accomplish a mission and you can do something for somebody that they can't do for themselves, especially in an incredible piece of equipment like that, there's no feeling like it in the world.
I think I was talking to people the other day, of all my military career, 1,000 operational hours, whatever, the two missions always stick out, the two rescues that I did, because you've tangibly changed somebody's life without them knowing you had the ability to do it.
Yep.
And that's what I think is fantastic about what you're doing. And the 105 to Blackhawk's quite interesting because historically there's a link between the two aircraft.
Yeah.
Because the US Army brought a 105 over to look at the rotor head system. So when they wrote the requirements that the Blackhawk was designed to, the 105 rotor system was basically.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
So that's really cool. You've had a 105. So an airplane, I've always wanted to fly the 105 for that reason.
Incredible.
I flew the 145 last week with obviously a very similar rotor system.
Yeah.
And that was really good fun. So talk about the relationship you have with Helitak and the stuff that your work you're doing with them to make your product, to make your capability even better.
So what I love about Helitak is they're just as crazy as we are. When it comes to, we met them at a show and kind of mentioned to them some of the ideas that we had. And, you tell a lot of people crazy ideas and they say, that's a cool idea, good luck with it.
Yeah.
But Helitak said, we can do that.
Yeah.
We got a solution for that. And it was not an easy solution. This is not something that, you've seen people stick motorcycles and snowmobiles on the side of helicopters, and there's a lot of really cool stuff out there. Helitak took it to a completely different level because they had a system that was already designed exactly for what we needed. All they did was expand on their already great design, and they built us this monster right here, which, it looks massive.
It looks James Bond.
It looks James Bond.
It looks James Bond, and that instantly makes it cool.
100%. Yeah, and actually, surprisingly, very user-friendly.
Yeah.
Very easy to install, quick install, getting the sleds on there, really nice, and it flies incredibly. In fact, it actually almost acts like a wing for the helicopter. When I'm trying to come down into a flare, it holds me there a little bit.
So you get a little bit more ground effect at the bottom.
A little bit more ground effect. It's a wild experience. Didn't really affect, we didn't push it much past, 100, 105 knots.
Yeah.
But you don't even know it's there.
It's dead stable.
The Blackhawk is so stable. This is so stable. And it's just stout, it's durable. And I feel comfortable taking this into literally anywhere.
And that's the beauty of the Chinook, the Blackhawk Freudian slip. That's the beauty of the Blackhawk, is that I've flown it a few times myself, but even as a Chinook driver, I have to acknowledge that it feels as over-engineered as a Chinook does. It feels as overpowered as a Chinook does in certain circumstances. And I think looking at something as substantial as this bit of work here is not the work of 5 minutes. It's not flimsy. This is substantial, proper engineering that's going to last.
You would have thought that it was 5 minutes with the timeline that we gave them to get it done. We talked to them in November, and middle of December we had this thing delivered, and they were up there installing it in the shop. And the thing about this is, not only is it cool, not only does it add cool points and fun for a guy like me that wants to go access the backcountry, but it changes everything when it comes to search and rescue response. Because there's the high mountain ranges out in Utah and all over the US where you need to be able to get crew in there, you need to be able to get equipment in there, and there's no helicopter that can do what this setup can do, not even close. And so, you see snowmobiles on here right now, but that's just the first of many items that you'll see attached to the side of this platform. We're jet skis, ATVs, dirt bikes, tools, equipment, you name it, because their cargo system is rated for 10,000 pounds, and it's opened up a lot of doors for us to be able to go places and do things others can't.
So it's almost like you could almost have in the back of the hangar like some mission modules that you'd say, that's the shout today, let's go, what do we need? Oh, we need that, bang on the side, let's go fly.
There's actually been missions that we did after we took this off. that we were like, we really need that back on.
Yeah.
We needed that back on bad. So we're keeping it kind of flight ready at all times.
Yeah.
Like you said, back of the hangar, we got something coming up. It's a quick, easy install. Literally maybe 20 minutes and it's on.
Right, really?
And you're up and you're doing things that nobody else can do.
You fit it while you're doing your flight planning and sign off the aeroplane, you get to the aeroplane, it's there.
Yep.
Happy
100%.
days.
Yeah.
Happy days. So of all the sort of the tasks you've done with the Blackhawk so far, what's the one that really stands out in your memory as the one that you think, that was important?
So the Blackhawk program, our ability to use it for emergency response is still developing. It's kind of in infancy.
Yeah.
Because the FAA is trying to figure out who are these guys, what are they doing, why are they doing it.
Yeah.
But we're starting to form these relationships with not only the FAA but public service agencies, emergency management departments. And so we recently did a mission out in Nevada where a pilot had crashed his plane into a peak at about 11,300 feet.
Yeah.
And nobody could get to him.
No.
National Guard said no. The state said no. Everybody, all the private contractors, everybody said we can't do it. Too dangerous. It's too high. It's on the side of a cliff. And we saw the family was in need. I mean, the pilot was still there. A husband, father, stuck on the side of the mountain, and the family had no answers. So we were fortunate enough to be able to go up there and basically sling load the airplane, the pilot, all of his remains, everything out in one load. And we got a mission done that nobody else could do. Not even, I'm telling you, federal and state agencies just said, we can't do it. And so that's really rewarding for us when we can solve a problem that not even the big guys can do.
Yeah, because you're big enough to cope and you're small enough to be innovative and flexible.
Well, that's the beautiful part about what we do. We stay small enough to stay flexible.
Yeah.
And we don't have as much red tape, right? And so when we first started volunteering to do missions like this, the agencies would look at us like, no, who are you? What are you doing? Why are you trying to do this? What are your qualifications? And all it took was a couple successful missions for them to say, okay, these guys might know what they're doing.
You might bring something to the party.
Exactly, and we're getting things done faster than anybody else, and we're not, the problem is, most times when you see an airplane crash in the mountains, the first question is who's going to pay to go get that? Insurance companies, either they're not insured or they don't want to pay for it, or there's all sorts of issues. Whereas we have the ability to go in and provide the service at no cost to the families and just get it done. So we don't bill for any of our missions. We go in and just provide the service. Avalanche rescue, recoveries like that.
And sometimes it's very sad when rescue turns to recovery. But recovery is important for that closure for the families.
Typically when it comes to an airplane crash, it's usually recovery.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I pulled the wreckage of 2 F-15s off a hill in the UK once in a Chinook, and again, it's very important. We were going down the end of the day, checking how much we'd got to work out how much more we needed to go and pick up. Because we wanted to get all the aircraft and all the people. Right. Most importantly, we want to get the crews back for their families. As a military guy, you know how important that sort of bond is. You feel that bond is, and it's really great to talk to somebody who feels that bond and feels that connection with the families and the importance of bringing a fellow aviator home at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, when it's something that nobody else can do and there's no other answers, that's where we really shine. We step up and get creative, and again, we're allowed to get creative because we don't have the bureaucracy of agencies saying no, you can and can't, and we become a real asset. In our state and in kind of the whole Western region, where if something goes sideways and people need help, we're usually the call.
So final question, then I'll let you go, and thank you very much for coming back to talk to us today. What's next for the Blackhawk, and what's next for you?
So we're building a fleet right now of Blackhawks. My first Blackhawk was a Alpha Plus model, and great helicopter, love it. It's kind of like the baby of the family. But we've recently purchased a Lima that is going to be done here in the next month or two. Full FLIR system, glass panel, everything. But basically anything you can put on a helicopter, we've got on it. And the goal is to kind of mimic what Two Bear Air does. Two Bear does, those rescues up in the remote terrain and the hard to reach places. So we want to do that with Blackhawk. So, and then when we're not doing rescues, the helicopters can work on fires and do other things like that. So it's such an incredible aircraft. The military has had their fun with them, and they're starting to decommission them. So we want them to go to good homes because they still have a lot of life left in them. So,
and I checked the GSA auction website, and you've got aircraft coming out with less than 5,000 hours use. And that's not even run in helicopter terms. 5,000 hours.
I think my Alpha model had 6,500 hours on it. I mean, it's just ridiculous, pristine. And I could have flown it home from GSA. I didn't because we trucked it and we wanted to do some work on it. But the Army does a really good job. And what's cool about the Army helicopters is, in our position where we purchase them and show the whole world the project, we have the pilots and the crew that used to fly those exact aircraft reach out to us and say, hey, that was my helicopter. I did this, that, and the other thing. And
that's great because you're building up the history of your aircraft as well. So it becomes, dare I say it, more human when you connect with that
way
sort
more
of
human. Absolutely, they become part of the family. These aircraft are, they're very special to us. Okay. Very, very special. So you're going to see our fleet grow. You're going to see a lot of cool new modifications. You're going to see this component turn into an kind of the Leatherman of what we do. It's going to have all sorts of different attachments and modules, like you said. And we're going to go have some fun and do some good.
Well, I really look forward to seeing the progress. Absolute pleasure talking to you, Dave. Thank you ever so much. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.